Hey gang, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. I'm Richie and this is Six String Fun. You know, we're going to start touching upon something that I know a lot of folks out there have talked about. They've got books and lessons on it and all that. But we're going to touch upon the CAGED system. Just the very basics and beginning of it. You know, we could talk more about it as we go along here. I had a hard time learning this as I was growing with the guitar. I didn't get it. I figured, okay, CAGED, it was 5 chords and I was done. It was much more than that. But what I want to do here is show you the 5 shapes for the CAGED system, you know, which are all major chords. The part that was missing for me was something very simple, which was a good transition to playing those chords everywhere on the neck. So, and it's all just about finger positioning and which fingers to use. And the index finger is huge in terms of learning how to play some of these open chords without the index finger, because that allowed me to get it into position elsewhere. And probably makes zero sense right now, but in my head it does. And when I show this to you, we'll go by, you know, step by step so you can see this. I think it'll help you. I think it'll be a good starting point. This is not, you know, the one and only lesson you're ever going to need on this. This is the very beginning of it. So let's get into it again. C, A, G, E. We're going to work on those. We're going to work on them differently, which will help you transition to the rest of the neck, basically, okay? So let's take a closer look. I'll show you how I do this. Let me show you how I've kind of approached this and gone from there. We've got 5 chords that make up the CAGED system, you know, the major chords. A C, an A, a G, the E, and the D, okay? And the whole part of the, you know, the premise to the CAGED system, again, my 2 cents and what I think is when you could take these chords and play all 5 shapes in one key, or one chord, basically. So, you know, a C, a C, a C. It kind of doesn't, it's hard to navigate that if you don't know what's going on here. So, I think a good thing to kind of work on is, let's take these chords. We got the C, the A, the G, the E, and the D. Couple things to keep in mind. With the C chord, my index finger is already committed here to this 1st fret, 2nd string. Okay, A, the way I play it, my index finger is now available. I'm going 0, 2, 2, 2, open with using these fingers right here. Okay, you could also bar it if you want, but for argument's sake, let's look at it this way. G, we play the G like this, right? I want to get in the habit of playing the G like this, because now you've got this index finger open. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Index finger's open. The E, that's how we typically play the E. But if we move it to this position, keeping my index finger available, I'll show you how that's going to come into play. D, right there. Again, get the index finger available, and then use the other fingers to jump in. Now, why am I doing this? Well, because this now allows you, keeping this finger open, your index finger becomes the nut as you move around here. Makes zero sense maybe right now. But let's take, if you know how to play a bar chord, just for the sake of argument, F chord. That F chord is basically a G or an E shape. Just like that. So if I were to take these fingers, shuffle them around where this one's available, and I have the other finger substituting now, I can take this shape and I'll just move it down a half step. My finger comes into play. I've got the F chord already. If I take the same shape and I move it down here, my finger becomes the nut again. Now I got the A chord. Make any sense? By doing this, you're allowing yourself to play all these chords that maybe you weren't really familiar with. Now, let's go to the C chord. Alright? And we're not playing the 6th string. Let's reshuffle my fingers, okay? I'm taking my index finger off. We're going to start with the middle finger. I'm still playing the same note. Still a C chord, but now this finger is available. If I move this up 2 frets, and I've got my finger here, I've got a D chord now. It's not going to sound good like this. It's workable, but it's not not part of the lesson here. All right, but if I move it here to the E, you hear it? So it's a matter of being able to take these chord shapes, play them, and then slide. Let's go to the G chord I showed you. Let's play it this way. I mean, we typically play it like this. But if we reshuffle everything, keeping this index finger available. Alright, 3, 2, open, 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 3. Alright, if I was to move this here to the 5th fret, that's an A shape. But if I take it, I can't make that stretch, it's hard. But that's it right there. There's your B, or A. Here's a B. It's not about being able to play the chords cleanly. It's about understanding where they are and what you're doing. So if you can reshuffle your fingers a bit here, right? All right. If you're an Eddie Van Halen fan, the one similarity I can make here is the song 5150. It's hang on. It was the E. He's playing the E and the D using these fingerings. At least that's how I remember, trying to learn that song. So instead of playing D and E, we're just playing them like this. All right. It's going to take some time, but when you can understand this a little bit better, number one, it's a great exercise because it kind of gets your fingers moving in a direction you don't expect them to move and covering things. All right. So we did the C right there, which we can move it. And you can play it anywhere you want on the fretboard. All right. The A, which we're really in position already now because if I'm playing this, if I was to play a B, I'm really just taking these. If I just barred that and moved it, I'm already in position there. All right, that's the A shape because it's all based off of this position here, this formation. All right, then we've got CAGED, which we kind of talked about already. Instead of playing this, we'll do it like this, and I'll bring it up to a D, a D chord, but the C shape. All right, so that I'm covering. So all those strings are covered. Now, are you ever going to really play a D chord like this up here? You might, but odds are you're going to either play a D here, a D here, or a D here. But it's the theory piece of it you're learning. Okay, so we did C, we did A, we did G, and then we have the E shape. Again, we typically play the E like this. But if you reposition your fingers, and this one's open right here, you're playing an E shape, E shape, E shape, A chord, an E shape, G chord. All right, and then the D. Let's get our index finger out of that and just reposition the fingers. Okay, we're still same thing. Oop. All right, same notes, but now this guy's open here, right? So we're gonna move him. So we would do this. If I barred that, if I do this here, and again, you're not gonna play. Are you gonna play a chord like this when you're jamming? Probably not, but it's all the theory piece of it. Quite honestly, you'll probably keep this more like this because here's a D, here's a G, here's an A. Okay? And the reason you can work this out this way is because there's no open string. Whereas if you do the C, you got open strings. Okay? But that's how I've kind of approached it. I think it's pretty straightforward if you can understand that piece of it first. Work with the fingering that way. Okay, keep the index finger just available. Don't use it. And not only does it give you a chance to now understand how that CAGED system comes into play a little bit differently, you're now moving your fingers in a different way, and you're able to just flow a little bit differently. That's all it is. So I think that was the key I didn't know at first. If I can do this stuff, that would be my first step to understanding the CAGED system a little bit better. Because when you're asked to play, hey, play me a D chord, but in the C shape, well, I already got this done. There it is. Or an E chord in the C shape. It'll just take you some time to kind of maybe understand a little bit further, but I would approach it that way. That's how I do it. Somebody might argue that I have no idea what I'm talking about, but it gives me a chance to play things a little bit differently. All right, I hope that helped you out, and we can dive further into this, but that's how I've gone about kind of understanding CAGED a little bit differently. Just approaching it that way, just by changing up my fingers on the chords. All right, when I get it right. But hopefully it helped you out. We'll see you on the next video. If you haven't done so, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And feel free to find me on Buy Me a Coffee. I've got a page there as well. Any little bit kind of helps to kind of keep the lights going, keep the lights on and things like that. So we'll see you on the next one. Later.